Okay, welcome into KC Sports Tonight. Monday, February 9th, aka the first day of the NFL offseason, technically. It's also the Super Bowl of Big 12 basketball, as it stands, at least in the regular season, which is Arizona, Kansas tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. Katie and Mark are up there right now. If you've been tuning into our newscast, you've seen them all evening. I've seen videos of, like, the campers that are out there, and it is ridiculous. KU cracking, I suppose, the top 10 today. Gabe, how are you feeling about this one? I'll set this up with this. KU right now, 7 games to go after tonight. They'll get Arizona again, and Houston, and Iowa State. But right now, they're 2 games back out of first. It's anyone's ball game, no pun intended.
Yeah, they have. I think tonight is kind of because of the way that they got the game in Lubbock last week against Texas Tech. I think that this is the kind of game that kind of swings or determines whether they stay in the conversation for just a 3 or 4 seed, or whether they really start to threaten and put together the resume of a team that is almost certainly going to be a 2 seed and has the
You're talking NCAA
tournaments, not Big 12 tournament, has a chance, outside chance of being a 1 seed. And I say outside chance because you presume they're not going to win every game in the Big 12. But if they win the right games in the Big 12 and they lose like one, and I could say this and it could all be a moot point by the end of the week because they could lose to Arizona and they could lose to Iowa State. But if they do the right things and then win a couple of games in Kansas City, your resume based on quad 1 wins is going to be so incredibly strong.
Don't they lead at least in the back half of the season here?
They lead the Big 12 in quad 1 wins at the moment, and that's impressive because Arizona started the year with wins over Florida and all of these other top teams. So the resume for KU has really strengthened as of late. It wasn't boosted by Saturday of just doing what they were supposed to do against Utah, but tonight I think you can make the case that it's one of the 3 or 4 best games in the Bill Self era of KU basketball. Maybe it gets a little bit lower because you can't directly say like this is going to determine the Big 12 title. I mean, you can say if Arizona wins tonight, they are they're already in the driver's seat. It's theirs to lose, yes, for sure. And if KU wins, it doesn't necessarily swing everything because they kind of like the old Big 12, they still have to go to Tucson. But it's been the subject of several text chains that I've been on today of, do you believe in Bill Self against a top 10 team? All of the data that backs it up. Do you believe in Bill Self at Allen Fieldhouse against a top 10 team? Do you believe in Bill Self at Allen Fieldhouse as an underdog? Or do you just believe in the team that is undefeated and has rolled most people, just won at BYU a couple weeks ago, beat Oklahoma State by 30-something on Saturday? Where do you stand on this? I feel a certain way, but I'm curious to hear what others think.
That was a tease for what you're about to say, but there's a lot of, I think, historical baggage thrown into this lane when you go, Bill Self is 38-0 on Big Monday, but when it comes down to it, Arizona is 23-0 this season, which is wild, and we've played a good chunk of the Big 12 season. Kansas has been trending upward. I think they've won 6 straight now. It's bumped up to 7. This is not the team that lost to UCF. This is not the team that lost to West Virginia. This is the team I think we expected coming into the 2025-2026 year with Darren Peterson healthy, finishing games. Still like a little bit of we kind of half joke that we're still waiting for him to finish his first game and you kind of sat on the edge of your seat. He has made it through some now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, for the sake of college basketball, we're able to see Darren Peterson complete games for the rest of the season and stay healthy. But at Kansas's best, the first half against BYU, the entire game against Iowa State at home, like this is a number 2 or number 1 seed in the country. Number 1, if they for me to get number 1, you have to win out. You have to beat Iowa State, you have to beat Houston, you have to beat Arizona, and then you have to make it to at least the last day, I think, in the Big 12 tournament. But
probably get some help too.
can get a little bit of help. Certainly taking down Arizona twice would do so. You get them again, as you mentioned, on the road. You get them twice in these last 8 games. Look, they went off to that 5-game stretch with 4 top 15 teams. Second time I've tried to say that on this show. And they're off to a 3-0 start. So big week for this team. I think this is the difference, as you mentioned, between targeting a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament to trying to stay above that 4 number for the Big 12 tournament to avoid the first weekend, to get the double bye. Yeah, which speaks to how good the Big 12 is, because you could theoretically be a 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament and a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, which is wild.
Yeah.
But, as for how tonight's going to go, I mean, certainly you have the upper edge with Allen Fieldhouse. It's not groundbreaking to say the teams are better at home, but this team is unbelievable at home when you think about the first half of the BYU game. Second half, Darren Peterson didn't play. So a healthy home Kansas team is about as good as you can imagine. I don't know. Gabe, what do you think about tonight? I mean, I just want to start this thing. This is one of those games that you can talk about forever, but to me, this is kind of the measuring stick for Kansas. Like, oh, is this a national championship? We're talking second, third weekend, fourth weekend of the NCAA tournament, or is this kind of which direction is this going to go? It's a fork in the road, I guess.
So the two things that I want to point to is Evan Abrams. He does work for the Action Network, and he put out some pretty good data today. Kansas as a home underdog with Bill Self. It has happened 3 times this year. They lost to UConn. They beat Iowa State. The UConn game in particular, they kind of limped to the finish line. They were unable to score in the half court, and that was a game that they played without Darren Peterson. So there's that. From 2003 to 2024, so all of those years, it happened 3 times.
That's crazy.
So it has happened more frequently as of late, and that makes sense because KU's been believed in a little bit less.
Okay, so that doesn't include last season's team.
Last year's team, I don't think, was a home underdog at any point.
That's wild.
Every single game, they were still – I mean, even Texas Tech, Arizona, Houston, all of those games, I think KU was 1 or 2 point favorites.
Yeah, I guess they didn't tank till late in the season, but that's crazy because I consider this year's team to be I feel much more optimistic about them coming into the second to last month of the season than I did last
exactly. Week. UConn, as I mentioned, they lost by 5. The other 4 times that Bill Self has been a home underdog at Allen Fieldhouse, KU has won by 21, 13, 13, and 11. Wow. So not only do they win, they've won by double digits in every single game.
Is the Iowa State game included in that?
Yes.
Stat?
Yeah. That's the most recent version of that stat. So not only do they win by double digits. I'm not saying that they're going to win by double digits, but I was texting with some people today, and one of them works in college basketball. The other covers college basketball, and we were discussing essentially the gambling aspect of this portion of the game, that 77% of the money is on Arizona, which indicates that sharp bettors, or people who typically are better at this, think that Arizona is going to win. And I personally just don't understand that. I think that if you look at it from the lens of, if you bet on Arizona and Arizona comes into Allen Fieldhouse and they lose, particularly like that stat just indicated, if they lose by double figures, are you going to feel stupid? Probably.
Yeah.
If you bet on Kansas and Kansas loses, I could be wrong, but I don't necessarily see an avenue where, with the home court advantage, with Darren Peterson playing, with the way that Flory Badunga is playing, as I would say the
Big 12 Player of the Week.
Big 12 Player of the Week, and one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in the country at the moment, I don't necessarily see an avenue to them losing in blowout fashion.
And you're healthy, too. Marco Jackson is back off the injury report. Yeah.
Said that he could have played Saturday, but he felt like it was better to give himself some rest and play on Monday. That's what Bill Self said. So if you bet on Kansas and you pick Kansas to win this game, you think Kansas is going to win this game, and then they lose, and Arizona does something that has not happened against Bill Self in the history of him at Kansas, 38-0 at home on Big Monday. I would be more okay with thinking that than thinking the alternative, which is that somebody is going to overcome the home court advantage, the Allen Fieldhouse factor, and every single time, even last year, as you pointed out, or 2 years ago, the last 2 years where there were significant roster flaws with Kansas, and they played Houston both times, and people said, this Houston team is better, this Houston team is more talented, this Houston team is particularly tougher, and they won
specifically last year.
Yeah,
yes.
They won one of them in blowout fashion. The other one, it took a miraculous 1%. Like, they had a 99% chance to win, miss a couple free throws, some crazy stuff happens, they lose.
TCU game in reverse almost.
Yes. Yeah. So I land myself on, I think KU is going to win tonight, and I think in particular that Darren Peterson is going to take this one particularly personal. He had a big game in high school that he lost against Koa Pete, who is Arizona's top freshman. I think that we hear all this talk about Darren Peterson and his mentality and his, if you want to go be the number one pick, I would look at the BYU game. Yes, he only played the first half, but in the first half he looked like a guy motivated to point something out, that he was much, much better than A.J. DeBonsa, in a different category than A.J. DeBonsa, and he was.
Outscored him and only played one half.
And was looking like an absolute pro for the entirety of those 20 minutes. So I think that's the case. I will say Tiller and Badunga are going to have a monster night or they're at least going to have to show up and rebound and play great defense, because the Arizona bigs are so tough.
Yeah.
And this is not an Arizona team that loves to shoot the three. They love to pound it inside, and they are super efficient at the rim. But that's why Flory has been, 7 blocks on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it is such a good matchup, and to your point, it's 5:42. Can it be 8 o'clock yet?
Yeah.
Let's get to that point.
You're going to see all 5 defenders crashing the board tonight. It's going to be, Bill Self mentioned that. I was listening through his post-game press conference from Saturday, and I think you're going to see 10 feet inside the arc, and it's going to be a pack it in and beat us from outside kind of night. And one more point to yours on Darren Peterson. When he's healthy and we get to watch him in the first half of that BYU game, and on a bigger stage, no offense to Utah, but in these big moments that the nation's watching, it feels like there are 9 players on the court, and then there is Darren Peterson.
Yeah.
It's just a fun, different level to watch that I can't recall. Christian Brown tweeted that Darren Peterson was best freshman in Kansas history, which is high praise coming from someone who just signed I almost said billion. That's obviously
I think he just
hyperbolic.
Said best player in a KU uniform.
Did he?
Ever. And it was Wilt
crazy.
Existed, but it's modern college basketball is different. But.
Let that at least speak to what this basketball mind, who has a successful NBA career and won national championship at Kansas, is seeing. We've seen some really good teams in the Bill Self area. Obviously, the 2022 team, the 2008 team, the team that got to the championship in 18. I don't think we've seen a standout different caliber guy like Darren Peterson.
No,
so when I say
not.
I hope he's playing tonight, that's because I hope college basketball gets to see him play.
Yeah.
A
it looks
full game.
And that's the thing is all of the injury stuff has broken people's brains to the point where the takes of people being I just get rid of it. I'm so sick of watching him do crazy stuff and then sit on the bench and stuff. And I think that it's done that because people you get the brief glimpses of him playing and you're oh my goodness, I want to watch this every single night 2 times, or all the 2 times a week that KU's playing. And it just feels like not enough. But
what game was it where he had that big dunk?
He dunked on BYU.
Was it BYU?
He had dunked on a guy on Saturday against
he
Utah.
had an alley-oop in another game, and I remember watching this live being I didn't even know he could do that. I will also add, I hope Mark is listening to this show. I don't think he is because he's at Allen Fieldhouse as we speak, and I guarantee it's going to get loud there very soon. But Mark came into the sports office today and said he was golfing this morning, and he walked the course, and his calf started cramping on hole 18.
Oh.
And he said he fell down, he couldn't get up, and he had to grab his leg for 30 seconds. And in that moment, he was thinking, man, I kind of get it. I understand. On the golf course on a Monday morning, can relate to Darren Peterson in this moment. So unless you've cramped up, we'll keep those comments for later.
It looks like he's the rare college basketball player where every time he shoots it, you think it's going in.
Yeah,
And that
his
does
ability
not
to,
happen
like,
for college
slice into
basketball.
the lane is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For a guy that's not that big. Like, he doesn't have, like, an Ochai, a Baji, or, like, a Christian Brown build. And he just kind of floats. Anyway, if you're getting to watch this game tonight, enjoy what you're seeing, because we will not see it for very long. I imagine he'll have a very long NBA career. We've already touched on the Big 12 race a little bit, but we're going to kind of swivel back, I think, to the other side of the Big 12 standings, which is K-State 1-9. Gabe, we're not going to dwell here just because it's kind of a bummer of a conversation. But if you're Kansas State, how do you finish this season, I guess? I say this as someone who played on teams who knew they were not getting an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. I never played on a college team that was this bad, record-wise.
Yeah.
But you do say the conversations in the locker room are, hey, we get this thing together. It's early February. We have a good run in the Big 12 tournament. And you never know. There's a spot for everyone.
It's just so different now, though, because the leagues are so much bigger that yes, I could talk myself into like a crazy run from a team in the Big 12 who's like, if the Big 12 was not as top heavy as it was, or as it is with Arizona and Houston and KU and Iowa State, I could talk myself into like UCF or Oklahoma State. They just make a bunch of threes and they get super hot in Kansas City and they win on Wednesday and they win on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. With a 16-team conference, I will never, if you're playing on Tuesday, you are simply there so that they can sell a couple extra tickets and they can sell some more of the Big 12 Eats concessions at T-Mobile Center, and we can have a little bit of fun. But you have no chance to actually win the tournament. So that's where I would say it's different than when you were playing in the Mountain West and it's a 10 or 12-team conference.
It's 12. Also, what's really interesting to me, I was thinking about this the other day, and this is totally off topic, but when I was playing, which in the grand scheme of things was not that long ago, but the transfer portal and none of that existed. Like,
so you could think about next year.
You could think about next year, and I played in the NIT twice because it was an extra game to get the core group of players to play again in real competition, and hey, best case scenario, we make it far in the NIT. Yeah. I don't know why you play in that now. And
like half these guys are probably like, where am I going to get my next check from next year?
Guys next year? Yeah, exactly. And I could get hurt. Like, it becomes like the college football playoff conversation that we're having right now. So anyway,
Saturday was particularly tough for K-State to lead for 39 minutes and 50 something seconds and then lose. And then you watched Duke do it to UNC and lose after trailing for 0.4 seconds.
Yeah.
So that was quite a day in college basketball as well.
Yeah. Okay. Sidestepping a lot of it to the NFL offseason, which we are officially in today. In Kansas City, it's felt a lot longer than that. But let's talk about yesterday's game, by the way. I guess we haven't talked about the Super Bowl on this show since it happened 12 hours ago.
The real Super Bowl is tonight.
24 hours ago. Yeah, I know. This is Kansas City Super Bowl tonight. Again, actually, I think folks should be way more excited about tonight's college basketball game than yesterday's boring.
It's perfect timing. It's perfect
Patriots
timing
Seahawks
to get
game.
off of football and go into
and give us something
number
to look
one pick
to.
versus number one team.
Yeah, I will say this. Jalen Sundell, Super Bowl champion, yielded a story on the tight ends coach, also from the Kansas City area, went to Shawnee Mission North. Like, there were a lot of, I guess proportionally, Kansas City ties to that Seahawks team.
Yeah,
so,
Drew Lock as well.
Drew Lock, yeah, obviously, that's a big one. So, hey, there you go, I guess. Officially, the offseason, Chris Jones tweeted yesterday, we're going to be back next year. Gabe, let's go short term, because I've already been asked, like, who do you think the Chiefs are going to draft this year? I don't know. We have time to get there. But let's start about, like, the next month. For example, tomorrow we are officially 1 month out from Travis Kelce's contract being up. And kind of as we get closer to evaluation periods and, free agency, what are you hoping to see from Kansas City?
Well, I think that to tie it into what we saw yesterday, which I think in hindsight we will look back in years and say, like, who played in that Super Bowl?
Also, that
Seahawks
game.
Seahawks defense was really good, but and good for Sam Darnold. I think that the Sam Darnold story itself, like from a human nature resilience state of view, from failing with the Jets to failing with the Panthers to backing up Brock Purdy on the 49ers a couple years ago, and then go and play great in Minnesota, and then they give up on you, and he moves on to Seattle, and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Great for him.
Yeah.
If there's a lesson to be learned from last night's game for the Chiefs, I would say it's almost a double down of
invest in an offensive line.
Well, and what we learned from last year's Chiefs Super Bowl, which is that if your offensive line is overmatched, you can get to the Super Bowl.
But you're not going to win.
You are probably not going to win it, and you're probably going to lose it in embarrassing fashion.
Yeah.
And if you particularly defensively can get pressure with 4 guys, it's such a simple thing to say, but it's so hard for NFL teams to actually do. But if you can get defensive line pressure more often than not, you're going to have a great chance. And Seattle had that to go along with a great secondary. I think more often than not, the Chiefs have had a really solid secondary, in part because I would argue Dave Merritt is probably their best position coach. If you look at the consistency of how good the secondary is for the Chiefs. But what they have not had is great play on the defensive line, and they've not had great play at running back. And I think that if there was 2 things that tanked the Chiefs this past season, it was not only being not average at those positions, it was being below average or below.
Yeah, specifically in the run game.
Yeah.
I mean, like a liability might be a strong.
Yeah. So those are the clear holes to go into the offseason with.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same exact game as Chiefs-Eagles from a year ago, but it felt similar because everybody that I was texting at like halftime, it was 9-0, and people were saying like this feels over.
Yeah.
And it was. Even, I mean, there was maybe a 2-minute stretch where Matt Collins catches that long touchdown, and then the Seahawks punted away, and the Patriots got 1 first down, and people are like, oh, maybe this is – well, and first of all, Mike Vrabel just doesn't understand math, I guess, because that was a clear and obvious go-for-2 situation on the first touchdown. And then Drake May throws the interception. Everybody's like, all right, we're done here.
And that was good run. Yeah.
Hopefully we get a better Super Bowl next year, and hopefully
the Chiefs are in it.
The Chiefs are back in L.A.
And hopefully we have a run game to actually talk about. That's kind of I think you talk about the pass rush. There's certainly some questions to be answered there. They had, to me, what is it? Felix is going into his 4th year. So big opportunity for him. There's a couple moving pieces there, but to me, you don't have answers on the offensive line. Like there might be some shuffling and bringing in a free agent, or not offensive line, running backs room.
Yeah.
There is no depth there to the point of where for the Buffalo game you elevated Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Their offseason acquisition they brought in didn't make the active roster. There were just so many I saw when Eric Bieniemy got hired. I wish I knew which creator posted this on X, but it was like Eric Bieniemy walking back into the Chiefs offense room,
and it's not the same.
That guy that's walking into a room holding pizzas and everything's on fire. Because Kareem Hunt is not the running back that Eric Bieniemy was with, all those years ago. And Isaiah Pacheco, we've talked about, had some serious vision issues this year. I'm gonna go back and look at the math ahead of the draft to just like the sheer chunk plays those guys picked up this season. It can't be.
Pacheco didn't have a 20-yard run. Kareem Hunt had 1, and it was against the Jaguars in Week 4.
And I know Mahomes had at least a 22-yard
multiple, and Xavier Worthy had 1.
Yeah.
So they had no explosiveness. It's truly the running game. The failures of the running game is like the only thing that Andy Reid has been 100% transparent and honest about in his postseason press conferences, which has been people didn't respect our run game, people didn't respect our play action game, and that to me was like the most glaring red flag thing that he truly, if he said it the way that he said it in those press conferences, he thinks that is the genesis of the failures of the offense. And I say failures, those are not his words, and he thinks differently than some of us do, maybe, that the Chiefs' offense, at least when Mahomes was playing, was passable. We can all debate the merits of that, but it's a fascinating offseason. I think that there's smaller questions like who's going to be the backup quarterback or who's going to be the quarterback for the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe
you got to bring in another name.
Kirk Cousins is going to probably get cut by the Falcons soon. He's a veteran quarterback
Can
who's
we all
not a bad vibes
collectively
guy.
cross our fingers for Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston?
Yeah, I've told this story before, but I was at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. And have I told you this story, Gabe? Surely I have.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, I was
If it's Jameis related, I don't remember
it. It is Jameis related. So I was standing at which gives away the reveal of the story, but I was standing at Andy Reid's kind of on opening night in the Superdome. There are podiums scattered throughout. So I'm standing at Andy Reid's podium, and everyone's peppering with questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear a question to the right of me of this guy that's kind of taller than me. And he asked Coach something, and I look, and I'm like, that voice is so familiar. And it was Jameis Winston, freelancing for, I don't know, NBC
NFL Network,
or something.
yeah.
And he said something to the effect of, like, Coach, I've been a big fan of yours. It's been so fun watching you coach for both these teams I care about so much, and I hope to play for you someday. And then he made him catch a cookie.
Always working for another contract.
Yeah, he was in free agency at that point. He threw a cookie at him, and Coach Reid caught it. But anyway, saving that clip for later because, gosh, good Kansas
His other
City
option is to go back and play under Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy. Yeah, that's a very good point.
So,
yeah.
there you go.
We will see, but that's my hope just because he's so much fun to cover. But time will tell. We are kind of in our little football float period, but an
People are
exciting
start
time in
getting
college
cut.
basketball land. Yeah. And a month less than until the Big 12 women's tournament here in Kansas City. Tickets are already on sale, which should be a lot of fun. I should mention Julia Davis, Blue Valley North grad, today was named the Big 12 Freshman of the Week for the 6th straight week, which, to put that into perspective, that ties the Big 12 record.
I think that's every week of this conference season.
It's since New Year's Day. Yeah, and she was injured prior to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's honestly a way better holistic way to put it. Ties the record for 6 straight set by Aoka Lee in 2020, who, if
Good
you're
company.
familiar, was an All-American multiple times. So, and had a big WNBA potential career ahead of her before she decided to step away from basketball. So, and Samaya Nichols, who was also preseason All Big 12, and a Shawnee Mission West alum. So a lot of local talent who you can see here in Kansas City. J.C. Hoyt with Oklahoma State obviously was at UMKC prior to going down there and has been leading that team to a lot of successful runs. So a lot of local talent, a lot of great basketball. And then the following week, also at the T-Mobile Center, is the men's tournament. So I'll be here before we know it, which is
the men's tournament that will have probably 4 of the top 6 picks in the NBA draft.
There's a good chance we'll see a Final Four team in Kansas City that week. So, yeah, yikes. A lot to come, but first day of the offseason for the NFL, which is, it feels like so much longer than that. This has been such a weird January and early February, but we will be talking more about specifically Travis Kelce's situation. I know we didn't touch on that today, but any day now, I think we're expecting this to drop. So time will tell, but that'll do it for us here on KC Sports Tonight. We'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.